Okay, go ahead and get a start here. Okay, I got some vocal. I am recording, and we've got the share. Now, this is part two for BISS 1123 Business Problem Analysis. As I promised you, we were going to take a look at this red bulb, which is another, uses macros. And again, just to reinforce a little bit about what we talked about Thursday evening, uh, a macro is really nothing more than a recording of your keystrokes. The whole idea is that once the keystrokes are recorded, then you can create an object like a button, press the button, and the macro will be executed. It will, and then you can automate your spreadsheet that way. And I'll go back down here to the modules, and we were working on XLS 12. Okay. And let me get us down here. So we were down at 10, 25, 18. And of course, today is the 27th, Saturday. So I waited 2 days to do this. And we worked with this. Well, we were working ahead. So we came down here to XLS 12. I'm sorry. We've been working ahead, as I said. And we had this, we worked on, I showed you, I walked you through the XLS 12 where we created some macros. And I'm going to open that up just again, just to kind to kind of reinforce what happened. Okay. And I'll download it. All right. And it's going to take us through these security warnings simply because it has macros. So we'll click Enable Editing. Then we get another security warning, macros, enable content. So we've done. And now you have, this was an inventory problem from a case a long time ago that I had. And it's basically, as you can see from the table here, all right. And I think what I'm going to do here also is I'm going to, it's a little, look, I kind of have well, I know what I'll do here. I'm going to draw a little bit. And there we go. Here are these are the columns or the dimensions for this company. And as you move further to the right, you see what's really going on with them in terms of a promised ship date. Okay. And remember, as we talked about, the date we see there in this very first one is this is actually a number, but the computer format, we choose the formatting so that we see it as a date. And so we see the promised transit time in days. And the thing was supposed to have arrived on the 27th, but it got there on the 25th. So it's -2 days overdue. Don't let that fool you. Figure that you have the day it's due, and then anything after the day it's due is positive in this case. And then anything prior to the day that it's due is negative. Okay? And so that's all that we've got going on there. Now, I'm going to go ahead and grab my eraser. And there we go. Now, as I had noted, I had created 3 sorts: sort by vendor, sort by fast delivery, and sort by slow. So we want to find out the vendor who gets stuff to us the fastest and the one who gets stuff to us the slowest. And the reason is quite simply, if we don't have materials from our vendors on time, then it means we can't deliver our product to the customer. And notice I've talked about vendors, us, and then the customer. And this is in the simplest form of what we call a supply chain, okay? And when people at the retail order level order something, they typically order it from a distributor or a wholesale. Although today there's a lot of times when the retailer just simply orders from the manufacturer, and stuff then the goods or the inventory that you've ordered comes down. So we're time conscious. We're also money conscious, okay? And we could do some other things. So I'm going to just kind of reinforce this for us. Now, we have everything here. As I mentioned, that the macros for sorting are printed below here. And once we create a macro, if we want, we can print out what we've done. Okay. And so I'm going to do that. We'll scroll down. And there you are. These printouts are really they're Visual Basic is what it's called. There's Visual Basic for Excel. There's Visual Basic for Access. There's Visual Basic for Word. It's a very, very, as it says, it allows you to write some code, if you wish, that in BASIC that you can use objects to do that. And probably the one that everyone would use, or the easiest to use, is the macro. As I mentioned before, it's just keystrokes. But if you look at this, for example, you're going to see the range and what happened and how the sorts occurred. Okay? So we'll go back up here for a moment. Now, I'm going to start off by sorting it by vendor. And you'll notice now I have it by vendor. And let's go find out what we intended to do there. So I'm going to click. Well, we can see that by just simply going here and looking. Let's click on this. Click on the sort by vendor. And, pardon me, let's click view. Okay. And then click macros. And we'll view the macros. And we're going to look at vendor sort. Okay. And I'm going to run it. Well, I don't even have to do that. I can click on edit just to see what I've got going on there. And I'm going to sort looks like I'm going to sort them in descending order. Okay. Now we're down here in what we would call the VBA area, and you'll notice it says VBA projects, and these are modules or bits of code that have been recording. Now that we record. Now to get back up to the Excel view, we go here, far right, and we're good to go. So we'll sort them by vendor. Now really what I should have is a sort by vendor ascending and descending. So I'm going to do that. All right. And we're going to create the macro right here. And this will help kind of reinforce what we're going to look at with Red Bull. So I'm going to click View Macros. And there's this little box with the red dot that says Record Macro. And I'm going to do that. Record the macro. And we'll get the macro name. And I'm going to call it sort by vendor. I'm going to simplify this. And always make sure when you do the macro name, you either use an underscore between words or you just cram the word together. So I'm going to do vendor ascending. Okay. And apply it for, and this and just simply is going to be vendors sorted in AZ order or ascending. uh, by vendor name. So there's no doubt about what I did here. And I'm going to click OK. That's still recording. And again, I'm going to pop up here for just a minute and show you. Now, when I'm ready to stop recording, I'll click that button when I'm ready to stop. But I'm not through yet, okay? So I'm going to click Home. And I'm going to click over here on the custom sort. And this time, I'm going to take the vendor costs, and I'm going to delete that because I don't really need it. Well, let me see here for a minute if I want to do that. I'm going to cancel that, okay? And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the custom sort, and I have vendor name and item cost. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, on the values of the vendor name, this time I'm going to put A to Z, okay? And notice it executed it. So now I have them in, the vendors are in ascending order, in other words, alphabetical. We still kept the cost per order in descending order. And notice that it may fool you, but don't let it. As you look at the vendor, which is the primary sort, it's cutting edge and then Eagle Technology, etc. And it's going to put it in cost per order, but remember we've got these order names over here as well. So far, we're doing well. And so I'm ready now. I've done this just very simple thing, and I'm ready to go ahead and view the macros again. And I'll just simply click on that blue button and I'll go stop recording. All right. Okay, so I've stopped recording and I've got the macro. All right, and I'm just going to check by seeing view macros. Okay, and I see vendor sort ascending. Okay, and I'm just going to click it and run it. And then since I'm here anyway, I'm going to click. I'm going to change this label, and it says edit text, and I'm going to put sort by vendor, and I'm going to put descending. All right, and I want to edit the text there. Oh, okay. Now let me show you something. I kind of fooled myself. There it is. When I'm working with these, I may need to size that out, and I can. And we talked about that. And if these objects can be, you can format them, etc., make them look pretty. And this is the sort by vendor descending. And now I'm going to go ahead and create an object for the sort by vendor ascending. Okay. And I'm going to do that. Let's see. I'm going to go over here and click Insert. Okay. And I'm going to insert an object, or pardon me, a shape. And I've been using these rectangles. And I think I'll go ahead and use this one. And I'll draw it. Now, I want this to look like the other ones, so it's pretty simple. I'm going to click on the fill, and I think I'm going to stick with that kind of a grayish that I'm seeing here. Then I'm going to edit the text, and that would be sort. I'm going to be, let's see, I want to make sure that when I edit the text, I would like, I don't want the fill. The font, I'm going to find the font here for just a second. I've got the shape. Here's the style I'm after. I'm just not too intuitive here, but I've got well, let's see, I'm going to right click on it. And I'm going to go back to format shape. And I'm going to choose well, I don't want to do that. So I'm just kind of playing around with this. And there's no need to be all hooked up about it because we've got a little bit of time here. Let's try this text fill, and then we'll click edit text. And this will be vendor sort. There we go. By vendor. Now, what I would want to do is make sure these are uniform. And obviously, you can do that. Okay. And I'll click off that. And I can come back over here on these, and I'm going to click edit text. And I'm going to format. And I'm going to make that a bold. Let's see what that looks like. I would just have to do a little bit of work with it, but you get the drift. You just click on it and you do some formatting to make them all look the same. And actually, what you could do, in fact, I'm going to do this right here. I'm going to get rid of this. I'll show you a quick trick for this. Okay. And I'm going to cut that. It's done. I'm going to do this. I'm going to click copy. Okay. And then I'm going to paste. It says can't post today. Okay. Well, let's just go ahead. And this is a lesson. I should have created my shapes so they're all uniform before I do the thing. So I'm going to click insert. I'll get the shape. And we'll take a rectangle. This is why you want to do your shapes first. And then the shape fill be that grayish color that they're using. Okay. If I want to just have a standard uniform outline, I can. But I want to do a text font where the words start out. I think I'll do the text font, and I want it to be format shape. I've got that. And trying to get exactly the I'll just use the theme color. And then I'm ready to edit the text. And this will be sort by vendor ascending. Now, I'm going to have to play with this a little bit. Close that off there for a minute. And I'm going to move this up here and then squinch it out, of course, so we can see it. And I'll lengthen it. Okay. I'll make sure that I have it up enough so I can see it. So I'm going to take this out. And want to make sure. There we go. Now it's not uniform with the others, but what I'd say is and this is a tip, before you create the buttons, well, before you assign the macros, create the buttons, and you can just duplicate them. It wasn't going to let me because I had a macro that was already assigned to it. So once you know the macros you're going to run before you execute them, have the object. All right. Now I'm ready to assign this, and it says assign macro. All right. And that's going to be vendor ascending. Okay. And I've got that done. Now I'm going to sort by slow. Okay. Sort by fast delivery, sort by vendor descending, and then I'm going to do sort by vendor ascending. Okay. And the lesson here again is, we've created the macro. We created the macro. Okay. And then we assigned a shape to it. You say, could I do all the macros and then assign shapes? Certainly. You say, well, could I do the opposite? Could I assign, assemble all of create the buttons or the commands so they all look uniform, i.e. copy them, but just change the text after you've copied them? Sure. And then assign the macro. All of this is just designed to create the tools for what we call a dashboard. This is kind of a primitive one, but it's one that lets me take this large data set and with just a click do what I need to do because it's copied my keystrokes. That's all. Okay. So again, that's the process. Now I'm going to close this off, and I'm not going to save any of this. And I want to go over to our textbook. And of course, we're working here in the Pozzi text, Pozzi et al. And we have this red bold, and it's over in chapter 89. And I'm not going to extol the virtues of the digital books. I did that the other night. We're going to come down here and we're going to find recording macros. And we'll go there. And as I mentioned, this chapter will cover the questions of what a macro is, how to do it, etc. And I think the authors, wanting to do a nice job will walk you through in terms of customizing a ribbon and all this business, and making sure that you have the macros on there. And then they walk us through recording a macro, and we've done that, and it's just a series of keystrokes. And as you can see, we give a description, and then we run it. And we, of course, can assign it to all open workbooks, whatever we choose to do. And then the author, just like I did with you earlier, takes you down to the Visual Basic. And this is just kind of a little project. This is a macro, it's not really a project. I forget what the term is. But if you follow with me, look, here's what's going on. This is Visual Basic, which is designed to be an exceptionally easy coding to perform. Now, You can go in if you want and write your own Visual Basic. And if you took a course on Visual Basic using Access, or you took a course in using Visual Basic in Excel, and there is some, I think, also for Word, but Excel and Access are the two where VBA is used, or VBE is what I would call it. Here's real simple. Now, we're going to call it a subroutine, and it's called red bold, and you see the parentheses there, okay? And then you see these green little look like apostrophes. That's because because those are comments. When we do programming of any kind, we can have a section for comments. And as long as we use those comments, that won't be executed. The machine will say that's for the human to look at so the human understands. Then we come down here with selection.font, and the name is Calibri, and the font style is bold, and the size, okay? And with subscript, no outline, no shadows, the color and the tint and the shade, and then we have a theme, and in that we have formatted the macro, okay? This is again over and over on page 80, chapter 89, and then assigning the macro, and then creating the button. Okay. And he walks you through some other things that you can do, like using relative references. That's a bit beyond where I think that you really want to go, okay? Because it takes you into the realm of VBA, and the bottom line is this, okay? You may or may not create a macro for yourself at some point in time. However, any dashboard that you have is going to be based on some set of data that are manipulated in some way or the other, and they will have either a hyperlink, or they will have some type of object like a button that has text on it that you just click and it does it for you. And again, when you see this, it's just a dashboard. These are tasks that you can automate on a regular basis. Okay, so again, the authors walk you through all of these particulars, and it's fine for you to do them. That's why you've got the text, okay? And they give you some problems to work on to do that type of thing. Now, let's go back over here, and I'm going to go back here to the next file, okay? And we've worked with the makeup, sort temp. We worked on that Thursday night. And now we're down to red bold. Now, it says this can't be displayed within Canvas, and the reason is simple. It's got the macros in it, so we're going to have to download it, okay? And there it is. And I'm going to open it, and I'm going to get all these security warnings because of macro. And I talked about that before. Macros are extremely useful. The good news is they can automate things. The bad news is that they can pose a security risk by a hacker who creates what they call an SQL injection. And what they do is they basically will go in and alter the code such that it does malicious things, okay? And it might feed you your keystroke. It might feed keystrokes back to that hacker. It might duplicate things. Any one of a number of things, but it's also a problem because once you send your spreadsheet to somebody, or you post it within a system. If it's infected, now it's everybody gets it. So that's why they're so sensitive about this, because you literally can inject malicious code into a spreadsheet, and that's why you get the extra security warning saying, hey, there's a macro in here, were you expecting that? And that's the point where you need to make sure that it's from a very, very, very trusted and known source. Okay, well, let's look at this, Jewel, and there's not a whole lot here other than what we had done before. And this red bold, they talk us, I think they walk us through here, and that's where we're going to find I'll go back to this chapter. Yep, there we go. And they show us how to make the red bold, and then how to run it. Okay, we'll go back here for a minute. And I had this open. So let me diminish this for a sec. There we are. All right. Now you see all these numbers, and let's click on them. These are displays of some kind of numbers, and they'll explain that to you there, but I just didn't look carefully enough because I'm more interested in the technique stuff. But I've got red bold, okay? So let's do this. Let's click view. All right. And once we've clicked view, we'll see the macros, and we'll view the macros. Now, this is just kind of a security tip. When you get a spreadsheet that has a macro in it, okay, remember it's just copying keystrokes. Remember I talked about a malicious code called an SQL injection, where someone inserts some malicious code into your macro. It's always good, I believe, okay, after you enable the content, to go in and click on edit, so you can see what the thing is going to do. And this is all very, very it's rudimentary stuff. Now, these can become complex, but notice we're saying, and they have a keyboard shortcut that Control Shift and R, and then you have the name, the font style, the size, the superscript, okay, and the theme, and it ends with that, right? And so it's just going to make everything red bold. Now, I was mentioning earlier about the projects and all that in VBA, and I'm going to scoot this over just a hair, and here you can see it. Now, you notice solver is in there. That's an optimization tool. You won't be doing that here. Here's and there's another VBA project, and then here's the VBA project red bold, okay? And I can click on that and see what's going on. I'm going to do this. I'm going to close it off and squinch it down a little bit so it doesn't take up the property. And I'll go back to the Excel. I'll be in there. And I'm going to press red bold. We've done about creating the objects. We've done that. Okay. And we just have some numbers inserted there. Now, and all they had done is just copied. They had inserted the numbers, and I don't see any formulas or anything. So what it appears to me is they just put some numbers in here and then just said, okay, make everything red bold. All right. Now, we can do this. We can create a little macro as an alternative here. And so let's just do that. Give us some nice practice. And we've got the macros. dialog box. So I'm going to click macros, and I'm going to record a macro. Okay. And I'm going to call it Bluebud. And I can make I'm not going to put a control thing with it. And I'm just going to put change numbers to dark blue. Okay. And I've got that. I'll click OK. I'm recording the macro. Remember, I don't have to get nervous. The machine will wait on me. So I'm going to highlight all of these cells. Okay. Let me move this over. I'm going to highlight all the cells. And I'm going to click Home. And I'm going to make the font a very pretty dark blue. Okay. So we've done that. And now I'm ready to come back to View. And let's see, I'll click the View. And I'll find my macros. And I'll stop recording. Now I'm going to click up here in the macros again, and it says View Macros. Let's see if I got my macro. Okay. And I'm going to run red bold. Run red bold. And then I'm going to click on. Well, I did. Oh, idiot me. I'm going to click on red button and run it. Should highlight those. Huh. Weird. Okay, let's view my macro. Not sure what happened to us there. Oh, okay. Well, it worked that time, didn't it? Okay. Oh, I get, okay. Like an idiot, I probably just forgot how I'll view the macros. And this time I'll do blue bud, and they're blue. Earth to me, I'm sorry. All right, we got one final thing to do with this. As I mentioned, we want to insert some command bar, and I'll click Insert Shape. And here's a shape up here, and I'm going to get rectangle. And I'll come down over here. Well, I'll put it above it because we'll do it in alphabetical. And I'm going to do a nice shape fill with that kind of grayish or light gray that they have. The theme. Okay. And then I'll click on Edit Text, and we'll call it Blue Bud. It should be Blue Bow. That's all right. Who cares? We got our app. Click inside here. And I'm going to edit the text. And I'm going to call it Blue Bud. Now, obviously you can't see it because I didn't make it dark. So I'm going to come back over here to Home. And I'm going to make the font color dark. In fact, this should be, I'll change this to blue bold. Just playing around with it. A big deal, you could see. I'm going to edit the text. That'll be blue, bold. Okay. Now, we want to assign this to a macro. And we're going to do that. And that's going to be blue bud. Blue bold. If they're not the same size, I'll click edit. And we'll move this out a little bit so they fit. And I'm going to click red bold. I should run from me. I'll click blue bold. It may be, I'm going to go back to view here for a second. And maybe I need to close this and save this. All right. And then I can run red bold. Strange. I may not have assigned this. So let's click red bold. Oh, highlight, earth to me. Yeah. Now that's a weird thing. Okay. It's asking me to go ahead, and they've got these raw. Okay, that's what the authors did. There's that they set up some relative cell references that I don't know are all that great for you, but the fact that it should just run that automatically. It may be that we've not saved it, but it does that, but it doesn't for the red bold, and that may have been. We may need to have that. But that's pretty much it. I think what happened here is we've got some relative cell references, because if I highlight everything and then a red bold, boom, I'm good. If I do blue bold, I'm good. So I don't want to have to do that. So we'll do red bold again. Well, yeah, these are the relative cell references that we're talking about. And I'll do the red bold now, okay? Now when I have blue bold, I just, boom. That was because I highlighted. So there's some different commands with the red bold. But if you wanted them to you'd highlight the cells and do your thing, just like we highlighted all the cells when we did the sorts. Okay, that's pretty much it. And any other kind of fun things to play around with, but they're really meant to automate processes in your spreadsheet that you do on a repetitive basis. So I'll close this off, and I'm not going to save the changes. All right, there's our friend Cardinal Buddy, and we're back up here now. I want to go back down to the modules. All right, and I promised we were going to talk about XLS 13 today, and we're going to talk about pivot tables. And I don't, the pivot table is, there are two tools in Excel that are the most powerful and the most useful. One of them is the optimizer tool. And when you take management science, I go through it at great lengths, because it lets us it lets us optimize data and lets us take our goal, then our resources, i.e. our constraints, and we could even build a mathematical model and see what it would look like given the constraints and our goals. And it's also allows, and we can also do some things like utilize random numbers And so we can do random trials of things. And when you hit management science, you'll see that, and we'll talk about it and you'll understand it. But, for all intents and purposes, the other most powerful tool would be the pivot table. The pivot table in Excel gives us the best of both worlds. It gives us the power of it. It gives us the extractive tech capabilities of a database, but it also enables us to do computational work that we can do in Excel. So we're going to look around at that a little bit, and we've got XLS 13. And so to know what we're dealing with or what we're going to do, I'm going to go down here to this has resources for the cases. It's down here. I also have it on my desktop, so I'm going to open that up. And here are the resources. We'll look at them. Okay. And this is chapter 13. Now we've done that. So now we're at chapter 13. And we're going to look at pivot tables. I have a trading, Pacific Trading. It's from an old case. It's in the file, so we're going to get it. Then for Thursday, for next week, we can look at the grocery script, grocers. This little file is from chapter 43, okay? And it's going to be over there in that Excel companion content 1 zip file because it's in that chapter. Chapter 89 was in content zip file number 2. This one's zip file 1. We're going to go down to the files section and get that Pacific Trading file and open it up, okay? Now I'm going to diminish this down and go back up here. All right. And we're going to go into the files section of Canvas. Okay. And I'm going to look for that file, Pacific Trading. In fact, I may just do the search function, excuse me. That takes us there. No? Let's just scroll down there. All right, I'll find it here for just a minute. Open up my file. You can see what I named it. XLS 13 done. Okay. So we'll scroll down. Fine. Here we are. XLS 13 done. Okay, so it's visible. So I'm just going to click on it. And I'm going to download it. Right. And then I'm going to open this up. And I'll click Enable the Content. All right. And I'm going to save this to my desktop, and I'm going to want you to do that as well so that you upload it for your 13. But I'm going to go ahead and let's see. Oh, I don't need to do this. I'm going to back here. I'm going to close this off. I know what I need to do here. Go back up here to the modules. Then we can do it down. I'm going to put it over here so you have it to load for XLS 13. And then we'll talk about it, okay? All right, now I'm going to add that. I'm going to add an object. Yeah, I want to add the file. Just see a little bit behind the scenes of what I do as I create these. XLS. And here in just a minute. There it is, XLS 13 done. And I'm going to add the item to this module. Now it's down here at the bottom, so I'm just going to simply drag and drop it upwards. There you go. Now it's done. Now this is the file that you'll want to upload for XLS 13. Okay. Now there's another file in there that we can take a look at that's in the textbook. And as I said, promise we're going to cover pivot tables today because I want to launch into Access next week. So in the next week, we're going to start to move into working with Access database. Now, let me say this before I go any further. If you don't have Access on your machine, or you want to try, you're not going to be able to upload or download Access on your phone. You're not going to be able to do it if you've got a Mac. You'll have to come to the lab and work with it. There has been a workaround to try to let you get in there to VMware on a distant basis, but it's not worked out. So it's impossible for it can be done, but it's just, I don't want to go into it. I thought we had a solution and we didn't. So we're going to be working with Access. You'll have to come in and do your assignments in advance or follow along in advance if you're going to be out of town or something of that nature. Now, if you have a PC and desktop, it's simple. Yep, you can do that. All righty. Now, and if you don't have Access on your PC, you can contact the help desk and ask them how and have them walk you through the process of getting linked in to VMware off of your machine. Okay, you're supposed to have access, ability to get access as well. All righty. If not, come to the lab or download it from your machine and up. All right. Now, let's look at this file, XLS 13 done. And as I've said before, if you want to try in advance of what I'm doing, it's simple. Go back and I'll show you again. And this file, grocer is point, or whatever you pronounce it, is there in chapter 43, figure 43.1 practice file. So if you want to get it and work with it, you're fine too. It's in the companion zip file #1. And if you play around with it and you turn it in, that's fine with me. If you use this one, it's fine with me. But what's not fine with me is if you don't watch the presentation and pay attention. Because there's not going to be that many people who will be using the optimizer or even the optimizer. But all of you at some point in time will probably use the pivot table. So I want you to understand how they work. All right, we're going to close this off. We'll go back up here. And I'm going to download this. It's XLS 13 Spring 15 done. You can tell it's an old case of mine. and I'm going to open it. Okay, and this would be the time when you want to download it to your desktop so you can watch it. You'll want to download it to your desktop so you can upload it for your workshop credit, okay? Now, I'm going to start with the tabs that are on this, and we have the first one, specific Q, and this is a set of data. This is a company that sells, looks like fruits. I don't think they sell any vegetables. They sell fruits to delis, restaurants, grocery stores, and farm stands, okay? Little open air market things, and they're a fruit wholesaler, and they operate, it looks like to me, if I'm not mistaken, in the state of I think they're, I can't tell if they're in Oregon. Yeah, it's an old case. Now here's just the raw data set, okay, and you'd say, well, okay, where do we go from here? Well, when we work with a pivot table, you have to understand that we're working with taking our data and putting them into what we call the analytical cube. And that is, and let me take you back over there if I haven't shown you that analytical cube. And we'll go back to we'll go back into the files section. And I think I have the analytical cube over here for you so you can see. Here it is, the JPEG. All right. Now you probably will want to increase this, but I want you to take a look at this. When we talk about an analytical cube, we're talking about going beyond just a simple use of a spreadsheet where we have stuff in a column and we have stuff in a row. In other words, a YX spreadsheet. Here we start to create a multidimensional approach. And here's what I mean. Let's take a look at the cube here for a second. I've got product, which is a dimension. I've got date, which is a dimension. I've got type of retailer, okay? And I have types of products. So I have products, types of retailers. I have dates. And now I can do some manipulation, and you'll see each of those questions. And if you scope it up, you'll see they're what we would call a query, a question. You know, how much of this did I sell during the month of March in 2016? Okay, so we're going to see that, and I'm going to walk you through this old case. But now now you understand why we're doing pivot tables before we do databases, because a pivot table really is the best of both worlds at this point. The ability to do computational work, we can do it in Excel, and the ability to take a set of data and turn it like a Rubik's Cube, if you would, and look at it a whole bunch of different ways. And we'll see that. Now, I'm going to close this off, and we'll go back up here to the modules area, see where we're at. But you should have your file, and we're ready to look at it. Now, here it is. We have Pacific Q, and that's the raw data, okay? And then we have a series of tasks. Now, again, this could be, beautified a little bit by putting in some banners at the top, at the bottom, that type of thing, making it look pretty. All right, getting these all formatted, etc. We're not going to bother with that, but we're going to do this. I'm going to go over to task 1. All right, now you'll see something here, okay? And if I'm not mistaken, this task 1, we were asked to find, okay, what month of the year, if I'm not mistaken, or pardon me, what date what month of the year do we sell peaches in Eugene, Oregon? Okay, now let's talk about how we do this. And I'm going to go back to the Pacific Q. All right, I'm going to put my cursor on A7. I'm going to carry it all the way down here to, I'm going to go A7 to F75, and I'm going to click Insert, and I'm going to click table, a pivot table, and it's going to give me a pivot table dialog box. And here's the table range. It says you want to put it in an existing worksheet. I said I'm put it in a new worksheet. And now I have the pivot table selection box or input, and then the output. Now, here are the best way to think about a pivot table is like this. I have the filters. Think of that as a big frame. The columns are obvious. That's the top frame. The rows, those are the side frame. And the values are what go in the middle. Okay? I'll show you. For example, I'm going to take date. I'm going to put it in columns. Nothing, and I always want to make sure I have a good visual acuity. I'm going to put it over here in the rows. I'm going to take date here, and I'm just going to move it off. So I have the row labels. So I have the months. And then I'm going to choose a city. And I've got a city, and I want to put it. Now I'm going to take the city, and I move it over here to the columns. All right. So far now, I have cities, and then a total, and the rows, and a total. And I want to put in sales down into the values. And this shows me how much I sold in a given city and in a given month. Okay? That's all that's going on here. And again, I've prettied it up. I can do even some more. I can put some, all that, and then put no borders. Or pardon me, all borders. Now notice something when I click back inside the area, the pivot table dialog box comes on. When I don't, it goes off. Now notice that I have the total amount I've sold for all cities, all months. I have the total for each city for all months. I have the total amount I've sold per month. So there's a lot I can do with this. And notice I have the little filters where I can sort these. Okay? Now, one of the other things I can do, and this is especially helpful, is you see the values, this little right side here. Okay? I can click on that arrow, and I can click Value Field Settings. And I can say, okay, I've got the sum. Do I want to see the average or the minimum or the maximum? Okay. So I can do some work with these numbers if I care to. Now, if I also wanted to, and this is one to me, right now I'm looking at the total sales, okay, by city, by month. And so if I want to, I can use some conditional formatting. And I'm going to use the color scales, green, yellow, so forth. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the grand. I'm going to do in fact, I think I can just simply do all of this and still do the real. Yeah. And I'm going to do my conditional formatting. And I'm going to use the color scales. I'm going to start here where green is really good. Now, let me stop for a moment and show you this. And right here, I have a choice I can make. What I've done by having the color scales, what they're doing is they're letting me see which month in a given city I did the best, because they applied these vertically, okay? So I can see, for example, that in December, in Bend, in December, I had the highest sales, okay? It shows me my highest sales in Eugene were in April. I can see that for Portland, my highest sales was in November. And I can see that in Salem, my highest sales were in May. So this allows me to look at a pattern, okay? Or to look for a pattern. And is there one here? Do we tend to have our highest level of sales in all the cities put together in the spring, in the fall, whenever? And I'm going to take this off here for just a minute. I'm going to leave it off. I'm going to go into we'll do the row labels, okay? And we're going to go in, and I'm going to deselect all of these. I do that by clicking there, okay? And then I'm going to click the first quarter, January, February, March. Let's just see what that looks like. Isn't that nice? So now I've got the subtotal. I could copy that and paste it somewhere, paste the values, and I have our first quarter in terms of sales per city. And now I can do even deeper analysis in each quarter, or I could do it by the month, because I've got that ability here to drill down and to extract it. Now I'm going to select all again and click OK. And then I'm going to deselect. And now we did the first quarter. So now I'm going to do April, May, June, which is the second quarter. And here we are. So I can analyze the second quarter's sales. All right. Now, we're doing a query here is really what we're doing. And when we work with Access, we'll do the same thing. When we do queries, we have to be careful that we don't get nutty about our ability to run all these queries and look at the data all these different ways. When we perform this type of analysis, whether we're doing it in a pivot table or we're doing it in Access, or you do it in SAS, Visual Analytics, which is like this, a pivot table, I need to have a disciplined approach. I need to spend my time looking at the key comparisons, the things that are important. So quarterly sales by city, yes. Annual sales by city, yes. And then you would drill down from there to products. Pardon me. In this case, you would drill down then to types of outlets like restaurants, blah, 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 and then down to particular products. Notice the logic. I started with the city, then I go down to the particular type of outlet, restaurant, deli, farm stand, okay, grocer, And then I drill down even further to a particular product. Okay? And that is really what goes on here. And I'll show you here in this task 2, task 1, we were asked to determine, what month do we sell the most peaches in Eugene? Now sounds a little off the wall, but really you'd say, what all do we sell in Eugene? And so I'm at notice I have 3 levels I've drilled down to the city, down to the type of outlet, retailer, because we're wholesalers, then to the type of product. And we do this. That's a disciplined approach. So we see reports that give us some meaning. Then we can go back upstairs and start to look for patterns. We could take, where do we sell peaches the most for the year? This just becomes an issue of saying, okay, you create what we call a query discipline by saying, here are the things we need to do, run queries on, and then we look for patterns. Okay, now here's task number 2. Okay, and in this one we were looking. I think that in this one we were looking at the level of. We had some salespeople, and we were comparing them. And you can notice I used conditional format. Now you can use. You can create tables with these. I like the conditional formatting. 1, it's simple. 2, you already have a table. You can flip this thing around and look at it all you want. But the bottom line is, I like conditional formatting because it just simply catches the eye. And I think it provides you some more sense of meaning. Now here's task 3. And this one, we were still looking at these salespeople. And I think we were looking at maybe if we left this a particular, should we quit selling? I think this is a question. Should we quit selling your restaurants? Now notice that I can come down here, and on this value, on that sum, I'll click on it, and I can the value settings, and I can put it in terms of show the values as a. Let's see. I want to do this. Show a number format, and I can do those as percentage. Okay. Now, we'd want to work with these because this is some spurious stuff. So we'll just back out of that. All right, and we'd want to do the percentage. Let's go back up here. So sales and the value field settings, and I want to get a percentage. And we get it to be this percentage of the column. That's not exactly what I'm after there. I'm going to cancel this for a minute. Click back in here. And let's see, sometimes these value settings are a little bit tricky. And summarize your data by average. See if I can find the percent here. Well, they're by general currency. Let's try custom. No, we don't want to do that. So we cancel that. That's what I'm going to need to work about. Let's see. I think I'm going to highlight this, and let's just see something for a minute. I'm going to highlight those. And then I'll do the value field settings. Let's try this. Show values. Do the number formats. And let's see if I need to include the whole thing. Maybe that was it. No, that's not doing it for me. So I'll have to go back and look at that. I haven't played around with that in a while. But nonetheless, now it's simple. If I want, I can just simply take each of these and get them as a percentage. And I'll want to look at that and play around with that. That's something I need to do myself. But nonetheless, I can see here by restaurant, by type of outlet. Okay. And let me see here. Now, this fourth task, and this showed us, okay, we put these in, how do we do that? We put the city, the sales, we've got stores. Okay, so we took them out here and we have them by, we've got the city by the sales and the store type, yeah. Okay. And we could ask ourselves, okay, do I want to, am I willing to pull out of a particular city? Now, and value field settings. And I want to get the summarize the values by I'm gonna have to take a look at that. Why that didn't work out for me, I'm not sure. Anyway, as you can see, we can do some analyses with that. And that's really all we've done. Now, I'm going to come back here to task. I'm going to sheet 2. All right. And notice that we did the first quarter, we could do the second quarter, and all of that business. Now I'm going to select all, okay, and I'm going to show you another way that we can do some work, and that is we can do a custom, and we're going to do this everything that occurred before 2008. Okay. Now, I'll just come back in here and select all. Now, if we wanted to, we could come in on the row labels, and we're going to do a date filter. And there we can do next quarter, this quarter, last quarter, next year, instead of just choosing. We could do either way, okay? We could use these, okay, and or do the simple filter select. That's all. Now here's all the dates in a period, and so if I want to choose a particular month, I can do this. This is just saves us a couple of keystrokes in terms of analyzing these. All right, by period. And we can, of course, create a custom filter if we care to. And the text does a pretty good job of talking you through some of those. And we can show items for which the date equals or is, for which the date is after or equal to. And I'm going to say, I don't know, 1/1/2008. I'll do whole days. This isn't a valid date. Okay. Let's see if it will play nice with me there. And it did. We got those rows and months. We can put the rows in. Field settings, we'll go up here and we'll put them in. However you choose to do that. Okay. So that's what we do with the pivot table. And again, we did some different tasks with it. And I'm going to highlight those right there. And instead of the sum of the values, I'm going to do value field settings. And I want to summarize by product count numbers. I don't want to do that. Okay. So I will solve the mystery of expressing them as percentages. And I've got the sum of sales over here. Now, one of the nice things I can do if I want, now we've got things down here in seller, store type. I can switch these around without any big deal. And so if I want, I can put the type of outlet by city. Now, we'd have to clear the formatting, and we'll go up here to conditional formatting, and we'll clear the rules from the selected cells, and we'll do the same thing over here. Now we can do this. We've got them by daily, and what we can do is we can take grand total and we can apply it, the conditional formatting there. Notice what I've done. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing here. And I would repeat the process so that I'm now looking at the type of outlet versus sales. You got it? And let's look at the row labels for just a minute. Yep. And so we would just use that same conditional formatting. Do it again. again, we can see Bend has the highest level of sales in just about every category. Now we come down to restaurants. You see, as we look at these data a little differently, it gives us a different perspective. And what you really want to do is you do this, okay? Now, the grand totals are nice, okay, because they show us, the grand totals show us over here, the grand total for each outlet. But when we're really concerned about the outlets and the cities, okay, we want to put the outlets or types of customer over here on the left-hand side, and then we'll throw the dollars out. And you can see there's a pattern where Bend does very well in Bend. We do very well in farm stands, groceries, and organic markets. It's just the opposite in Salem. In Salem, we do very well in delis and in restaurants. You see the pattern there? That's what we're looking for when we do these, when we use the conditional formatting. And then Eugene and Portland, it's kind of mixed. So this is an insight that we have that in Bend, one of our cities, we do very well in farm stands, groceries, and organic markets. Okay, probably where we're dealing with an individual buyer, but then if you look at a deli and a restaurant, those are places where people go to eat. We don't do so well. So we'd have to ask ourselves, okay, why is that? And then if we come over to Salem, we have just the opposite. See it? Okay, folks, we'll do a little bit more work with the pivot table, on next Thursday, and then we'll put our toes in the water with Microsoft Access. All right, thank you so much. And that'll pretty much do it. And I'll close off this file. And this is the one, I've got it loaded there for you now, that you can play with and work with and upload for your workshop credit. Okay? That'll do it. And we'll go back down here again. Here's the 13 done. And that's what you can use for 13. Thank you much. Have a good one. And I'm going to stop the share and the recording.